G'day guys, Gordon at Blue Tongue Industries. Wanted to run over a particular skid assembly and show you what's available for the Australian market. So the evolution of the P40 we all know with the collector and van ports, but the new monoblock as we've released in the last few months here into Australia has been an absolute game changer. So the P40, as punchy as anything, is still punching out even more with this new monoblock. Let's take a closer look at this new 56 volt P40. So currently what you're familiar with is gearbox, P40, and if you haven't seen the new monoblock replacing the collector and van ports. Pressure gauge, which is absolutely fantastic in adding to this particular system. So the electric P40 56 volt is going to operate off a pressure switch. So when we take your hand off the trigger, the electric motor is going to shut down and there is no bypass on, or what you're currently used to on the Honda or PowerEase P40 combination. So the 56 volt VX120 replaces the Honda GX200 on this particular configuration. So powered by Midwest, and we'll run you through the proportion and the way that that's set up in this particular system. So the VX120 power on switch, variable speed control, which will give us minimal to, on this particular system, maximum of 300 PSI, and our master on off switch. We have a battery indicator here, but there's also a battery indicator down the back, which I'll show you shortly. So turning the system on, we'll get variable RPM, and we can max that right up. Turning the system off. So this particular game changer is going to revolutionise, if I can say that correctly, the softwash industry. So plumb slightly different, this particular system. So we've got the clear manifold. The proportioner is set up, XL proportioner, so we have our water, which we're all used to. We have a single soap tank, which I'll show you down the back. Our chem valve, which is hooked up to our remote flush unit, which I'll show you around the other side. But on this particular system, it's got DI water flush. DI currently set up, or you could pump RO water into that. And so you're selecting between raw water as a soft wash scenario, or if you're doing a high flow pure water rinse, we're turning the raw water off and pulling straight from the DI or RO tank. Take a look at the flush unit. So we are familiar with this particular system. We've seen a few of these here in Australia. So our remote control module, our three-way remote control valve. So the centre port, as we're used to, is going back to the chem valve, and we're selecting either water or chem from the three-way valve. We're going to protect the system. The chem supply is going to be remote outside the vehicle. So we're going to carry the SH outside the vehicle, and that'll be packed up and cleaned up to protect the ongoing equipment and not cause the devastation, as we all know, of carrying SH in a vehicle. Also new, the King's 12 volt hose reel. So we have our water supply in. So these particular hose reels are 12 inch. They also come in an 18 inch. So they're controlled through solenoid and relay to enable you for an auto wind. So we have 5/8 water hose feeding our raw water tank. And on this particular system, for elevation of drone, or depending on how you want to set this up, this could also be 5/8 soft wash hose. There's 3/8 lightweight hose, which will go to a drone operation, and fed below that a larger diameter hose to give you the distance off the reel. So different combinations to set up whether you're ground work or working in the air. Revolutionary 56 volt battery. So we have a battery indicator which is displayed at the top of the battery. Quite smart, USB-C also in. A couple of battery connection ports. So our 56 volt charger, which you'll see on the ground there, is 15 amp. So you'll need a 15 amp power supply to charge this particular battery. And I'll drop all the data below, and I know you're going to be thinking and wanting to know run times and charge times on this particular setup. But quite smart, Comet. What they've actually done is enabled you to couple up multiple batteries. So we have our main power source going to the VX120. on this particular system. The secondary port can be coupled to multiple batteries, so it can be jumped from battery to battery to give you maximum run performance on this particular system going forward. So quite ingenious in that particular way. An auxiliary battery there also, which is going to feed our 12-volt remote flush unit and our electric hose reels. We'll also take a look at the filtration system on the back of this particular system. So there's a 20-gallon single soap tank. The water tanks on the back of this are just under the 400 litre, 100 US gallons. We have our raw water tank and our pure water tank. On this particular system, as mentioned before, is DI fed. So if you wanted to, if you're operating in hard water conditions, we can also adapt an RO unit to reduce your running costs on this particular system. And the new Mac RO, which punches out 10 litres a minute, could suffice to keeping this particular system topped up. On the end, a 50 litre DI tank, which is strapped in, and the way the skid is cleverly designed, easy to remove that and refill that particular resin vessel, or having an additional vessel on board as a quick change out will enable you to keep on running even in those medium to harder water conditions. The water coming in will go through a three-way banjo valve, and whether that's going to fill the raw water tank or run through the DI vessel and fill your pure water tank. So just a pre-entry sediment and carbon 10-inch filter prior to hitting that DI resin vessel. So quite neat, quite compact. So 1200 millimeters wide. So if you're able to fit this into the back of a van, on the back of a ute or a truck, very, very compact and powerful in its total overall configuration.
All right, it's Brian again with Midwest Washing Equipment. Got another video showing the performance of the electric Comet P40. Again, we have 5 8-inch hose here. It is 300 feet. We're going to show its rinsing power with the blue gun right here. And it's almost at, say, 75% of power. We have speed control on this guy right here. So we're going to go over here and rinse off our dock. We're putting out 10 gallons a minute or more. And again, I've got to remember, that's after 300 feet of 5 8-inch hose. This thing has a lot of power. More power than the gas powered unit. See all that dirt that we're getting out right there? So that's where this machine's really going to shine. Takes a lot of volume to rinse quickly, and also if you get in some areas where you've got a lot of buildup, so you're pushing a lot of mass, that's where this 10 gallons a minute plus at the nozzle right here is going to do the trick.
So very, very nifty in design. So even if you're doing ground operations or car parks and you're after a high flow rinse, 40 litres a minute, and you can see in the other videos connected that it does pack an absolute punch. The P40 connected to the monoblock, and personally I think there's an increase in performance with the new monoblock over the collector and van ports. So very, very compact. If you like this video, do also check out all our other videos on YouTube under Blue Tongue Industries. Check out our website. It's absolutely growing from day to day with the amount of products on that particular site in all the different genres we do. Thanks again for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next video.